boys and girls. Welcome to the MagicBrad Show. Here it is 9 o'clock in the morning here in Minneapolis, St. Paul, Central Standard Time, and we're waiting for my co-host. I think he might be having technical difficulties. This is around the time, remember when Facebook just had a little issue? There was an issue with Facebook and their properties. It was Messenger and Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp and all that stuff. It all got all screwed up. But that's technology for you, and that's kind of what we're going to talk about is technology and marketing today. I've got my friend Michelle, and she's going to, I got to go to the green room and find her, and we're going to have a little conversation with Michelle and talk about what she does and how she does it. Where the heck is she? There she is. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Brad. How are you?
What part of the world do you live in?
Thank you.
Where do you live? What part of the world?
I live in Falcon Heights, Minnesota.
I know where that is.
Yeah, I'm close to the state fairgrounds. So we have to plan our evening activities around the fireworks that happen somewhere between 10:30 and 11 o'clock at night. So it's usually a late night for us during the state fair.
And you've got a couple of weeks of traffic going on around the Minnesota State Fair there. But hey, it's something you just deal with, right?
We're here. We're in the neighborhood, so we do.
Absolutely. So for those that don't know already, to get a hold of Michelle, if you find what we have here talking about, she's on LinkedIn. And it's linkedin.com/in/Michelle, M-I-C-H-E-L-L-E, Sailin, A-S-A-H-L-I-N. Screenshot that. So Michelle, we got connected with a mutual friend, Brian, and I find it ironic that you had been to some of the events that I produce here in Minneapolis. That's kind of exciting.
Well, I think what that means is that independent business people or people that are trying to expand their networks, they go to live events, and also now we have to do virtual events, but we go to live events in order to make significant connections. Sometimes it's looking for work, and sometimes it's looking for resources to run our businesses better.
Would you say that the majority of what you do would fall under the umbrella of marketing?
Absolutely. That's the real, well, that's where I have great depth. I have been doing marketing all my career, and I have worked in a number of different industries. And what it means is that I have essentially touched everything there is to do with marketing in one way or another. If I don't know how to do it myself, I still know enough to be dangerous and make decisions about it.
Okay. Well, I think marketing these days, especially since the internet has kind of made it open to everybody, I think it's been mixed around and changed, and people don't really know what it is anymore. But really, it's pretty basic what marketing is. It's just creating a marketplace and putting a product or service in front of a customer or client. Not that complicated.
Yes. What I think has happened is that we now have a lot of digital tools that are being in marketing.
Yep.
Most people know about social media, but there are things like e-newsletters. There are live streams like this. There are videos that help people show how their products and services are used. So they're like help. Here's how you use this device. Here's how you use this piece of equipment. All of those things have been added along with blogs. And during the pandemic, of course, we weren't able to do trade shows in person. So a lot of the trade shows also went to a digital format. But what's happened with some companies is that they have focused entirely on the digital, and they have forgotten about some of the more traditional marketing. Yeah. And that's actually one of the things I help companies do is I look at what they're doing now in terms of their marketing and promotion, even their sales process. And then I find where there are holes and gaps, and I help them make them better, or I help add new tools.
It's refreshing that you're using the term digital events as opposed to virtual events, because they're not really virtual, they're real. They just happen to be online, right?
Yes.
And then exactly. It's a hybrid of using that digital platform and the old school method of the magazines and the newspaper and the radio and the TV and the direct mail. Those are still valid methods of marketing and promoting, right?
That's absolutely right. In fact, some of them have made a real comeback. Digital marketing, people are overwhelmed in their email boxes and so forth. And so some companies, especially in the business to business arena, and that's where my forte is, they have discovered that old fashioned direct mail used with digital media as well can really promote themselves better. And maybe their competitors aren't using a physical mailing. And you can do lots of different creative things when you send information through the mail. And they tend to be remembered better than just getting an email from somebody.
Yeah, interesting you bring that up. I'm using a platform called Mailbox Power. I call it my magic marketing tool because it uses direct mail and it leverages the technological part of it to utilize that automation and print merge functions and date stamping and all that kind of stuff. It uses technology, but it's the old school United States Postal Service that does the physical delivery. And the open rates on packages are about 100%.
That's right. If you get a package in the mail, you're just like a kid at Christmas time, because you want to open that up and see, well, what's in here? What could possibly be sent to me, and why are they sending it to me? Why did I get it? And who sent it? And it does open up doors where perhaps an email blast, especially repetitive email blasts, just don't get the same attention.
Well, it's really refreshing to me hearing you bring up the concept of the hybrid or using both as opposed to just one or the other, because it is a mixture. I mean, if you look at it, you got places like Facebook and Lyft and Uber and all this. They're using TV, traditional, to promote their businesses, their online businesses. Why would they do that? Because it's effective and it's a merge.
That's right. So, it can really depend on who your target audience is. Totally. If I have worked in some industries that are very, very narrow market niches, and using what we would call the general marketing media, such as maybe the radio or television, or even in some cases social media, those companies may not be able to reach their targeted user or the targeted buyer that well, because it is such a narrow niche and their potential customers are not on social media. They're not marketers. We're on social media. We're paying attention to all of that. That's part of what we do. But if it's somebody who works in a manufacturing operation, for example, and they're working on the engineering of the product line, and they're walking the factory floor and so forth, or checking out the new robots that are being installed, whatever they're doing, they are not spending their work time on social media.
Right.
So yeah. Some of these more traditional types of media can be extremely effective, especially if they're targeted right down to that market niche.
Well, the thing with technology is sometimes it doesn't work. Like with the direct mail thing we mentioned, if there's rain or slow or sleet or hail, the postal guy tries to still deliver it. But when all of a sudden someplace has a blackout, like Facebook had that issue, all of a sudden nothing's happening. So technology, and by the way, our friend Brian is here. I can bring him on, and he's probably got some good questions for you too. Okay. But he was a little bit late, and it's probably because of technical issues. That's the thing that happens sometimes. So let's go into the green room and find Mr. Brian here. There he is. Good morning, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hello.
Good to see you.
Thanks for bringing me on.
Absolutely. Yes, we were just talking about technology. You probably overheard us in the green room. The doors back there, those digital doors are kind of thin.
For some reason, I went right into Google Meets because it was on my calendar. Well, I knew it was StreamYard, so I'm waiting in Google Meets till 9:02. Then I realized, okay.
And I put a little thing in there too, do not use Google Meet. That might have subliminally said Google Meet in your head and you clicked the button.
That helped me get on. That helped me. your little
That's what I'm
mess.
talking about. Technology sometimes, although it's wonderful with its automation and being able to be 24/7, it has its glitches. So like I saw a post on Facebook this morning because they're back up again, and people were talking about what did you do yesterday when Facebook was down, for your business. And I said, I've got set it and forget it automated direct mail postcards going on. I didn't do anything. Took a break. You got to work both sides of the street, right, Michelle?
Yes,
Right.
definitely.
So it sounds like Michelle was given a good introduction. I was looking forward to it, but it looks like she got a good introduction, right?
I hope so.
Okay. All right. So I just wanted to touch on what you're doing, Michelle. You're director of marketing communications. And then I like to tell people what a fractional basis means. What's a fractional CMO? You can go ahead and explain that to our audience.
Well, first of all, CMO stands for Chief Marketing Officer. And fractional is sort of a new terminology in the last few years. And what it means is that somebody with professional level experience goes and helps a company on a fractional basis. And they actually become part of that company, but they maybe aren't doing it full time. And some good examples is in the financial area, companies need somebody to do audits and perhaps doing accounting and things like that, but they really don't need someone full time. So they bring in someone fractionally. Likewise, that's what I do is I help small to mid-sized companies grow their businesses, but I work directly with the executive team. And one of the reasons I work with the executive team is my view of sales and marketing is that the brand that is being promoted is across all functions of the company. It's everything that touches the customer. So when you're working on the executive team, if you see something that needs to be tweaked to enhance your brand and make the customer experience better, you can work directly with the managers to get that in place. And also to get their input and buy-in. I don't work in a vacuum. I always like to be very collaborative in how I work.
I like to say that, thanks, Michelle. That's a good description. I like to say that fractional is you divide your work week into fractions. You take 40 hours and you have 10 with client A, another 15 with client B. And it's kind of the gig economy, right? You can do gigs on a fractional basis. And like you said, the small to medium sized company can better afford that. And they have the time they need from you.
That's right.
That. Yeah.
So what happens is that small to mid-sized companies may not be able to hire somebody of my experience and caliber. And doing it fractionally, they get all of that knowledge as well as a very sound knowledge of how businesses operate, how products are created and distributed. And in particular, I help lots of companies with bridging between that marketing and communications portion of their business and the actual sales force. So I bring all of that, but then they only pay me for the hours that I'm helping them each week.
It's
so let's talk a
interesting.
little
The
bit
term
about
fractional, I never really dug into it, but your explanation of that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like part-time flexible, but it's the thing with your phone. Maybe you're still doing work because you're in the line at Chipotle waiting for your burrito. You can still work and you're getting things done. So that's a little fraction of time, and it's not necessarily blocked out in hours. It might have been 2-3 minutes, but you're still getting the thing done, right?
Absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Since it's Tech Tuesday, Brad, our guest has a little experience with AI for the cloud. You and I talked about artificial intelligence before, and it's interesting, Michelle, that you worked with AI for the cloud, with Internet of Things, this circle of interconnected devices, like your door to your garage can open, then your door of your car can open, then your garage door, all in the same network. That's just an example of the Internet of Things. Someday our world will be that way, a click, click, click. And describe kind of what the AI for the cloud meant. Now, are you and you did the kind of describe the competitive advantage for that for the company? You put out some of the blogs and the.
Well, I've worked for a couple companies that have got great technology. And that's one of the reasons that they have actually done well in the marketplace, is that they are dealing with the current technology and incorporating that technology into products and services. One of my clients, Lab 651, for example, they help companies improve products, and they create, they're a product development design engineering company, and they help companies improve their products through technology, and also help with the development and creation of new technologies. So, for example, they might help a large manufacturer of retail products, say appliances. They could help that company make those appliances operable in a remote location. So that appliance is connected through the Internet of Things, and whoever owns that appliance can choose, what cycle it's going to run on, how fast it's going to dry, the type of, spin out, what kind of water is used, all of those things, and they can do it remotely. And this can help people be more efficient at home while they are off site at work. And this can be applied to a number of different products and services. For example, lawnmowers. A lawnmower requires a certain amount of gas and oil to be mixed in order to use it properly. And of course, they're now pre-mixed chemicals to put in there, but also they have maintenance. So what happens is that lots of times a product like a lawnmower will begin to lose its ability to work really well. And if AI, artificial intelligence, is part of the actual product, then it can be maintained more easily. And the owner can find out quickly what they need to do to get it maintained. There might be a little message that pops up and says, you need to, clean out the chute, or you need to add more oil to the gas, whatever that particular message might be.
Oh, that's kind of fascinating. I mean, I even heard that they're creating smart appliances where your refrigerator says, you only got 2 eggs left. You better buy new eggs. And then it's going to get to the point where it's just going to order them and pay for them for you. Have them delivered.
That's close. But, talking about the refrigerator and the eggs, another project that I know about is that there were various storage units, grain units, that need, and this is in a commercial and industrial marketplace, and the owners of those of the grain needed to keep track of how much moisture was in there and the condition of the grain. And using AI within those storage units helped them with that maintenance, and that resulted in less spoilage and better usage of the commodity that was stored there. So there are also lots and lots of industrial and commercial uses for artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things.
Fascinating. Technology sometimes is good and then not so good. I mean, I remember a situation I interviewed an author, and he had automated Twitter things going on, and he had a fan that just loved him as an author and bought all of his books. And he was trying to contact this author, but the author was on vacation and he wasn't answering his tweets because they were automated. Now the guy is upset and angry with the author that he loves so much.
Yes.
So you got to be careful and keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on too.
Yeah. That's good insight, Brad, because that's what happens sometimes. Another technological advance in marketing has become using automated systems that serve as a funnel, and each part of the funnel has stages through which a potential customer passes. So, for example, say the customer sees an electronic or digital ad and they click on it. Then that might take it to the company's website, and there they might interact somehow on the website. And each of these serves as a stage in the funnel, and over a long period of time. But sometimes what happens is companies get so excited about automating things, they forget that the advertising and the automation aren't what sell the product. People do. And if it's a technical product, they really need to make sure they have loopbacks at each stage of that funnel so that potential customers can get the answers about the product or service when they need it and very accurately. As you said, they could end up in this loop and they're ready to buy. They're ready to get more information. They may be ready for a quotation on the product, and they can't, they just don't get the interaction that they need.
Well, also it's probably good to have someone like you that is overseeing this stuff, because maybe the president and all the other people are busy, that sometimes the person has to look through these things, because people change their minds. You might be going down the grocery aisle in aisle 6 looking for peanut butter, and then you might go, you know what, I don't want peanut butter, and then you go down aisle 8.
Yeah.
And someone needs to monitor that, know that that's going on. Otherwise, they're going to get the same funnel going, get your peanut butter, get your peanut butter. I don't want peanut butter.
Yeah, and ironically, Brad, Michelle mentioned clicking on ads, which leads to a good segue into what you do, which is affiliate marketing.
That's something that I have to watch all the time, and I try and stay away from too much automated technology because of that. Because as a user, I get it from my end, and I get these people sending me this stuff over and over and over again. And it's, even if I already bought, why am I getting this thing again if I already bought it? So you have to watch that. And I try and not do so much. I try and keep it as simple as possible. It's I use Kartra for building my funnels out, which is kind of like ClickFunnels.
Right.
And I don't even call them really funnels. They're just pages, because the top of the funnel, if you will, is all those social media platforms where people are going and clicking on things. And if you're like, I have a saying, like, some people think it's really, it's numbers. You got to get big numbers. But if you're selling hot dogs and hamburgers, I don't care how many vegans and vegetarians you market to. It's not a good fit. You got to line that up, and then it can be a lot easier. And it's complicated, but it's simple in that it's like a combination lock. The 3 digits, you got to go left and right and left. And if you know the numbers, it opens up. If you don't know the numbers, it's really hard to open the lock. So you got to get that alignment perfect. And if there's any, if you're a number off, it ain't going to work. If you put a .com or a comma, the comma looks like a period, but it's not.
A comma.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, like MagicBrad.com or MagicBrad, com. Comma. Okay, enough of that. Michelle.
All right, Brad.
So we've gone about
Michelle?
23 minutes into this. Are there any other questions? I try and keep these kind of condensed.
Right. Any final wrap-ups? Anything you want to say, Michelle, to the audience about what you do? Anything more?
Well, what I really do is I help small to mid-size business-to-business services and manufacturing and medical device companies grow. And they end up growing because they get increased market and brand visibility, as well as I'm helping to bridge between their sales and marketing. So we're generating sales leads, but then I also look at the process for making sure that those sales leads get nurtured and eventually lead to sales. And so I help with the big picture, looking at the strategy and long term. What are the business goals of the company? And then I use that information to create strategic and integrated marketing plans and budgets. And then I help them implement those budgets and plans.
All right.
So that's a good summary.
Perfect.
Well, thanks for being on today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This is a lot of fun. And
Michelle, I'm going to pop you into the green room, and there's some digital appetizers in there. Those little meatballs with the toothpicks and stuff. They're all digital, so they're locale.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Well, that was our friend Michelle. That was very fun. And if you want to stick around, Michelle, we can have a chat after in the green room. But I'm going to basically sign this off. This has been Leveraging Tech is what I posted it as today, because it is a Tech Talk Tuesday, just like that. Perfect. Well, Brian, do you have any parting words? We do have a comment here. I just noticed it just popped in. It's our friend Justin. Thank you, Michelle, for all the help you have provided for us and our clients at Lab 651. There's a testimonial for you. That's wonderful.
Wow.
Thank you, Justin.
Terrific.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Well, what else we got going on, Brian?
Well, we're working on a guest, as I said. Richard Gentner is probably going to come on next week, and he is a kind of a brand. He works with internal product information systems and certifying them internally. We can talk about the tech angle on that as well next week. So that'll be another exciting installment coming up here, and more guests to come down the road.
Wonderful. Well, Brian, I'm going to pop you in the green room. You can have a conversation with Michelle, and then I'll be there shortly.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
See ya.
Well, there we go. Leveraging Tech on the MagicBrad Show. Appreciate you stopping by. If you want to know more about this, you can find us on good old YouTube. And if you do see it on YouTube, give us a thumbs up, because that helps. And if you want to get notifications, ring that little bell and it'll notify you and say, hey, Brad's online. So appreciate you taking the time. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be well. Be good. Be safe. Be nice.